Are you into retro computing and want to start building your own original collection? Recently, we've seen companies like Atari and Retro Games Limited release remakes of popular retro computers and consoles. These are fantastic at bringing retro into the modern world, but nothing beats the feeling of slapping a cassette tape into a dataset, inserting a floppy into a disk drive, or chucking in a cartridge to load your favorite programs. By the end of this episode, you will know some of the places to buy a retro computer, what to look out for, and what you'll need to get them up and running. Hi there and welcome to Evans Retro Lane. In the past, my family owned a good collection of technology, but as time moved forward, we swapped our old stuff with new. All the fantastic systems I grew up with are long gone. These microcomputers created unforgettable memories and left lasting impressions. Modern progress in computing just hasn't made me feel that same way since. These early computers made an impact both in the industry as well as in our lives. In this video, I'll be going through the buying process on the hunt for a Commodore VIC-20 and an Amstrad CPC 6128. Both of these computers are from my childhood. The VIC-20, as I've covered in many episodes, was my first home computer. I spent many hours typing in code into it as well as playing games. The Amstrad CPC 6128 was the computer South Australian public schools acquired back in the late 80s. I have fond memories of some educational titles and games. Before we jump into the search, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button to be kept up to date for when the next two parts are released. Tip number 1, where to buy. Depending on where you live plays a huge part in how easy it is to pick up the retro computer that you're after. If you have public in-person markets in your area where old electronics are sold, check those out first. Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree are great online platforms to search for items that are close by. Of course, there is eBay and is generally the easiest option. You can sometimes find a bargain, but you do need to be constantly looking and be quick to snap up a good deal. Auctions are great provided that not many others are looking at that same item. You might get lucky. Also, be mindful of postage costs. Some sellers have worked the system so they charge a ridiculous amount, then use a cheaper courier. I've even encountered sellers not offering combined shipping. Tip number 2, look for danger words. Don't always believe when people advertise something as rare. When it comes to the VIC-20 and the Amstrad CPC, they are not rare computers. There may be some variations of them though that are rare, but you need to be fully aware of what they are by doing some research. If we look for VIC-20s on eBay, straight away we can see a few available. This is what I mean by people saying they're rare when they really aren't. Rare computers would be those that were discontinued early or short-lived subvariants or just didn't sell well back in the day. As for the CPC 6128, they are slightly less common than the VIC-20 but not rare. If you live in Europe, then you shouldn't have an issue finding one. While filming this episode, something fantastic happened. A huge lot of Amstrad stuff came up for sale. No joke, while I was looking at these, they were being snapped up. So I had to move quickly. Which brings me to my next danger word. Look out for the word untested. Sometimes people aren't truthful about whether something doesn't work. But on the other hand, maybe the person just doesn't have the equipment or time to test it. What I generally do is research the seller. If I can see they've sold similar items or even have identical items for sale in working condition, then I know they are more than capable of testing the item. You can always take a chance if the price is reasonable. Tip number 3, set a budget. Research how much the computer is actually worth in the current market. You can look up what the previous items went for to work out what the market price is. Generally, auctions would be more accurate. For the two computers I'm after, I shouldn't pay more than 300 Australian dollars each. This first VIC-20 is up for auction. It comes with the original box, even looks like it has the original plastic on the spacebar. It looks in nice condition. All keys are present, they aren't faded or yellow. The case has slight yellowing though, and that's typical of these computers that run really hot. The power supply is not the original. In fact, they have a DIN to 2-prong converter cable. It also comes with a few cartridges. Best of all, this item has been tested and is working. The case is also the taller version, which is evident by the 4 vents. I prefer those as the shorter cases tend to yellow a lot more. So I would expect this item to go for around 300 Australian dollars. Next we have another VIC-20. This is both an auction and buy it now, however are above my limit. Let's look at it anyway. So they're claiming it is opened but never used. I doubt it. Firstly, when I see cables sitting on top of plastics, I cringe. These cables, if stored like this over time, will eat into the plastic. Here's an example of what happens if you wrap or rest a cable around plastic. It looks like it melts into the plastic. Here's the VIC-20 I've shown on this channel previously. It had 2 cable burns here on the side. I sanded it down as much as I could without it looking weird. Unfortunately, it was a little too deep, so it has to live with these battle scars. Here's another VIC-20 bundle. This is way above my budget. I can see that it does come with a heap of things like manuals, cassette software, dataset, joystick, cartridges. The keyboard is missing a key and it looks to be the odd version of the keyboard without the springs. That can be harder to get parts for, but not impossible. The photos show it working too, which is good. Now here is a CPC 464 and 6128. I'm specifically after the 6128 because that is what I used in school. Let's look at the 6128 listed for 499 Australian dollars. That really is way over my budget, especially for something that is listed as untested. It looks okay, it has a disk drive, keys look okay, not too yellow. These are generally reliable, but the risk is someone could have plugged in the wrong power supply. The risk is higher with these CPCs because they get separated from their monitors. You can see that the monitors have been separated from the actual computers, and people are charging quite a bit for them. Luckily for me, I'm not interested in a CRT monitor. Tip number 4, look for hidden additional expenses. Ensure you consider the additional parts you need to power, use and hook the computer up to a modern screen. Now with both the VIC-20 and Amstrad CPC, there are some complications you need to be aware of. The VIC-20 came in a couple of revisions. Early VIC-20s use a 2-prong power supply, while the later ones use the same DIN connector as the Commodore 64. DIN connector power supplies are easy to source. The 2-prong 9V AC power supply is not. Where possible, try to obtain it with the VIC-20 if it is an older model. From the VIC-20 we looked at before, it has very limited detail here about the machine. From the box and the power supply I can see in the photos, I believe this is a US VIC-20. Therefore the power requirement is different and the video output signal will be NTSC. I should have mentioned before that I'm also after power systems. I would stay away from this unless NTSC is what you're after. Look at this Lone Ranger VIC-20. This one is untested and I can see the badge is loose and bent. The spacebar needs to be refitted and that's not a huge issue. This version requires a 2-prong 9V AC power supply, which isn't included. The case is also the shorter version and the unit is made in Japan. Not sure if this is a PAL or NTSC unit, I'm guessing it's an early power unit. There are too many unknowns. The Amstrad CPC gets its power from the CRT monitor it came with, but often you will see these items sold separately. Do you need a CRT monitor? No, but you need to understand the power and video requirements for the CPC and buy additional cables and a fit-for-purpose power supply. So these need to be budgeted for. Both the VIC-20 and the Amstrad CPC require specific audio and video cables which can easily be obtained. Then we need software to run on the computers. There is always the option of buying individual titles provided you have a way to load them. Or there are a few modern alternatives available. For the VIC-20, the penultimate 2 Plus cartridge has all the expansions and numerous programs and games included. For the CPC, I bought a cheap device known as the USI FAC2 that plugs into the expansion port, allowing me to use a USB device to load disk images. Tip number 5, bargain. Most of the time, auctions are the way to go, but even they can blow out. If something appears to be a little expensive, don't be afraid to make an offer. eBay provides discount vouchers every now and again, which help lower the costs. If an item isn't selling and the buyer knows you've looked at it, you could also receive an offer. Let me show you what I bought for this little restoration project. I came across this VIC-20 lot for 295 Australian dollars, just under my budget. What immediately grabbed me was that it came with a few items. This includes the power supply, which is the 9V AC 2-prong version. It also has what we call the Euro style keyboard, which isn't common. It was the keyboard Commodore made in between the original Microgramma and later Helvetica versions. It would be less common than either of those as it was short-lived. It also comes with a dataset, an RF modulator, and a joystick. The case itself looks to be in good condition. No deep scratches or cable burns. It is the taller case with the 4 vents, which I prefer. It has yellowed, especially the underside. As we can see, this was made in Germany. All rubber feet are also intact. Also included is this Introduction to Basic book with a cassette tape. Best of all, it's working. So I snapped this up before reviewing it for a few minutes. As for the CPC 6128, the Amstrad lot was selling fast. These were all listed as untested, and I thought I'd take the risk, especially for the price. I know it says $280 on the listing, but I actually got it for $250 with eBay vouchers. Apart from some slight yellowing on the keys, the case seems in good condition. The disk drive is intact, the back ports look really dirty, but we can always clean them. The underside looks good with only a few scratches. The seller has written that this Amstrad lot was sitting in storage for 20 years. So I'm hoping that this unit is in working order. I read they powered it on and the light came on. I hope they used the right power supply. It doesn't come with a power supply or video cable, so I'm going to have to source these. There we go, 2 purchases made and the 5 tips to keep in mind when looking to buy a retro computer. Now let's see what we actually got. Here are my eBay purchases. I have already opened the boxes just to make sure everything was there prior to showing it to you. And it's a good thing I did because the seller forgot to include the dataset. I contacted him and he has kindly sent that to me. Alright, so the first thing we'll look at is the Commodore VIC-20. Let's unwrap it. Here it is. It's very yellow, isn't it? Light plastic does tend to discolor over time, and the main reason for it is a mixture of UV light and heat, and it is more the heat that does it. The mistake we make is that we store these retro items in places like attics, and in Australia we chuck it into the shed, and they get extremely hot and they would accelerate the yellowing process. Underneath, physically it's in good shape. No scratches, cracks or screws piercing through. The serial number sticker is in good condition. This unit was manufactured in West Germany. This also signifies this is a PAL model. You can really see the uneven discoloring. And I happen to know that the VIC chip, which sits here, does get extremely hot, and explains why there is a blotch of yellow here. And this older VIC-20 has the power supply built in, so this location here also gets very hot. The keyboard is complete, which is good, especially being the less common Euro style version. Whether it works is another story, but visually it looks okay. Just needs a clean. Taking a look around the back, all the ports seem to be in good shape. Not too dirty and nothing seems to be broken. It's also a good sign the case is holding together. The hooks usually break off. The sides seem pretty dirty. Hopefully all that comes off. Alright, next item, the Commodore dataset. This is the cassette recorder we can use to load and save programs. It seems to be in decent condition. By that I mean no severe scratches or cracks. It is yellowed as well and quite dirty. Next we have the power supply. Now this is really important to get with this particular VIC-20 because it's an early 2-prong version. The power supply is somewhat unique. It supplies 9 volts AC rather than DC. So keep this in mind if you're buying an early VIC-20, otherwise you'll have a hard time trying to find a spare power supply. The details on the sticker are unreadable, unfortunately. Next we have a joystick. This is a QuickShot 1 from 1982. These weren't the best quality, but let's see whether it's held up all these years. I can see that the cable has been pulled, so we need to tidy that up. Next, this is an RF modulator. This is the only audio-video cable I got with this bundle. This was included with the VIC-20 because back then televisions only had an RF input. So you had to tune the TV to the frequency being output by this modulator. Luckily, I've purchased several audio-video cables for my other VIC-20s and Commodore 64, so we don't need to use that modulator. We can hook up the VIC-20 directly using a composite input. Here we have an introduction to basic. Opening the box, we have the book. It doesn't look to be in great condition, but it's okay. And under that, we have 1 cassette tape. There are meant to be 2 in this set. Ah well. Alright, that's the VIC-20 lot. Now for the Amstrad CPC 6128. Here it is. Wow, this takes me back. It's been 30 years since I've touched one of these. Taking a quick look, it's not in bad shape physically. The keyboard is definitely yellowed, but it has everything like the disk drive and the motherboard, so I'm hoping it actually works. I have to buy a power supply and some audio-video cables to hook this up before I even know the state of this. So I ordered these ahead of time. A 5V, 5A DC power supply. You can get a special power supply that provide both 5 volts and 12 volts if you wish. The 12 volts is only required if you're going to be using the built-in disk drive. I have other plans to provide that. An audio-video cable which takes the output via a DIN connector and provides an RGB signal to a SCART connector. This cable also provides the 5 volts needed to switch to the RGB signal on the receiver. Then we need something to decode our SCART RGB signal to HDMI. For that, I purchased this video processor. I had to research which one is capable of accepting an RGB SCART input, so be aware of that. With all these additional parts, we can start testing their as delivered state. From that, we can work out what our next steps are to restore these classic computers back to their former glory. What do you think about my purchases? Do you think we'll be able to restore them? Do you have any tips you wish to share? Drop a comment and let me know. And that wraps it up for this episode. But the journey will continue in the next part. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now's a great time to do so, to be kept up to date on new episodes. You can also support me making these videos by following the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.